good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on our fourth virtual town hall for the Potomac District. I'm excited about our guest today. We have a wonderful guest from the county, our county, Prince William County, Mr. David Westcott, who is our Legislative Affairs Liaison. And I'm excited about the interesting and the most important things that he's going to tell us about how the state and the county are partnering. David, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, Supervisor Bailey. It's great to be here online in this type of setting with what circumstances we deal with, and certainly your constituents and Prince William County constituents deal with every single day. So it's great to be able to talk with you on some of the most pressing issues that we've certainly seen at the state level. Also, what we've kind of seen at the federal level too. So happy to be here and very honored to be invited.
Well, I tell you, you're a well-kept secret in the county, in that you move fast and you take action and you execute fast. But could you please just explain to the Potomac District, what exactly does your job entail? What is a legislative affairs person? What's your responsibilities?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, a lot of people do have that question. So kind of what my job is with Prince William County is I work in the county executive office with a bunch of wonderful people, including the county executive and many others. But my main job is to push forward and move Prince William County's legislative agenda, both at a state level, as well as things that we might be doing on a federal level. And what that includes is during the summertime and kind of the spring and fall time, what I do is I meet with different groups, whether it might be the human service board that we have put together in the county, community service, social services, planning, economic development. And we meet with those individuals and understand what things they seem that can make their job easier, not only their job in Prince William County, but what can make the lives of constituents in Prince William County better. And so we meet with those individuals each and every day. It's kind of been inhibited right now of what we're able to do dealing with COVID-19. But our job is to meet with those stakeholders, get an idea of what pressing legislative issues that we need to move forward. And then what we do is then we come back to our supervisors, yourself, as well as the other members of the board, and we discuss those priorities. And we have those discussions and see where does that legislative agenda lead us, whether it's the General Assembly or whether it's the United States House of Representatives. And it's moving the legislative items forward. So
I mean, your job is very interesting, and I had the very good opportunity when I came to the General Assembly to see you in action, and it was so impressive. You took us around to our delegations and introduced the Board of County Supervisor representatives to our delegation. We sat in their offices and we did talk about those things that are very important to our constituents, as well as the legislature and how those things partner together. You mentioned social services. Could you explain to me, I know one of the things that's near and dear to my heart is mental health. So please, if you could explain to us how the legislature is providing for our social services, specifically mental health in our county.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good question. And quite honestly, I think that's what's on everybody's mind nowadays. You know, before this virus, and certainly it will be after. What we have seen in the General Assembly specifically, and this also goes with the federal government as well, but we've seen a large concentration in a large movement in more funding for mental health services, community service boards with Step Virginia, social services, center aging, our aging center here in Prince William County. We have seen with this administration an absolutely a large amount of focus more so this year in providing more human service funding, and the list goes on. One, like I just mentioned, our community service boards, which is an important facet in Prince William County, whether, it's mental health services or, with our social service departments, we've seen an increased amount of funding that has taken place. And also, may I also add that with, these daily press briefings that we hear from Governor Ralph Northam and his administration, there's even more so of a concentration on those human services and in what they provide for the citizens, not only in Prince William County, but also throughout the entire Commonwealth. And I think it's been a long time since we've really narrowed down and we've really looked at what can we do more for, and who can we provide more services to as far as human services. And we've seen an increased focus on that in the General Assembly.
That's great. That's great. I mean, it's about partnership. I know this year is a very important election year in that we have the presidential election. So could you share with us on a broader scope, just tell us what the legislation is doing surrounding absentee voting? I know that was a big entity going into the General Assembly.
It was. And, when we look at that and we look at the initiatives that were taken this General Assembly session, we've seen a large amount of people, no excuse absentee voting with Delegate Charnel Herring. And also Delegate Van Valkenburg, who also put out legislation dealing with, absentee voting and making, less headache for people to be able to exercise their vote and to be able to cast a vote for the candidate that might represent them the best in their area. So we've seen these initiatives come forward, and certainly Governor Northam, as well as his administration, has also shared their ideas and their recommendations with the Virginia legislature in understanding how important it is for people to get out there and vote, and to find ways that those that might not be able to get out of the house or work long shifts at work and have a hard time getting to the polls. And I think all of us, in one way, shape, or form, has had, kind of a hard time of trying to put time in the day to be able to, get to the polls and to cast a vote, whether it's the general election or it's a primary. We're seeing a lot of initiatives, and certainly this General Assembly session. And I think next General Assembly session, we see more focus on increasing and trying to increase the amount of voters in our elections, not only in Virginia, but this is probably, initiative in other states as well.
Yeah. I know that was, thank you. That was really a big part of our budgetary initiatives this year with the County Board of Supervisors. So we're appreciative for all the work that y'all did in the General Assembly to assure that people can execute their God-given right in voting, and making sure those provisions were made. So I want to go on to talk, you mentioned earlier about people that go to work, our commuters, and I'm very sensitive also. We have a lot of small businesses in my district that have been in the district for a very long time. They are a household name, and they're probably hit the most by this COVID-19 pandemic. And so another thing that I'm very interested in is making sure not only that our county, our employees maintain their employment, but also small business owners maintain workability, and that their hourly employees especially are maintaining their jobs as well. So can you talk to me about the legislation that was brought about the hourly wage and how that will and can affect Prince William County?
Right, absolutely. The thing that I can say is on the minimum wage, and this has been a topic that certainly hasn't come up just last year, but has come up the last several years in raising the minimum wage. And what we saw this session was it moving forward. and it passing the House and then also passing the Senate. And it takes it from $7.25, and then it moves it to $9.50. It's a gradual process. And if you look at the legislation, and I believe it's like House Bill 358, don't quote me on it, but the legislation, it doesn't all take place at one time, but it's a gradual step each year. You make a progression up until we get to $12 an hour, which is what that legislation says. The one thing that I would add is, and maybe a lot of the Potomac constituents aren't aware of this, or maybe they are. They've seen it in the news articles. But what we've seen is that Governor Northam, in his recommendations to the legislature before the General Assembly met last week for what they call veto session, Governor Northam, delayed that enactment for the minimum wage increase, and as well as other many legislative items. So it's going to happen, but the rate in which it's going to happen and how it takes place, or not how it takes place, but when it takes place, is just going to be lagging for a little bit behind than its normal schedule per what the legislation states. So
what you're saying, it'll be somewhat of a phased-in approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, and also, Supervisor, just to add that the legislatures in the Virginia General Assembly did that. I believe taken in account of instead of pushing it from $7.25 to $12 an hour at the all at one time, it's a trickle effect until, one, businesses understand what's going on, two, as well as, phasing that in. And I think that might be the best approach if this legislative item is to move forward, that phase in effect, is the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. I think, I appreciate what you're saying, because I think Governor Northam has worked very diligently in bringing along Virginians to understand the legislature, to adhere to the requirements and the needs within the state of Virginia. I know that Prince William County has certainly been a recipient of that. But we need to protect our small businesses. And so that's good news. That's very good news from the General Assembly that phased-in approach is on its way. One of the things that I campaigned on diligently during my campaign season was on the environment. And I know that is a concern, not just locally, but at the state level and from a federal level. So can you talk to us about that legislation as it relates to the environment?
So what I would add is in this, and also going back to the minimum wage discussion, environment and protecting the environment and being more eco-friendly is nothing new in our daily conversations, at both state level and federal level. What we saw happen this year in the General Assembly is what we call the Virginia Clean Economy Act. And really what that does is it's a phase-in approach for our utility companies here in Virginia to switch to 100% renewable sources by I believe the date is 2045. Don't quote me on that, but
I believe you're right.
Yeah, it is, but it is a phased-in approach. Of course, that bill has a lot of other things that is cited in the legislation, but the main approach to this is to move to more renewable energy. Yes. And this is something that I believe that we've heard in the Northern Virginia region, as well as from constituents on other town halls that we've probably both listened into. But the Virginia Clean Economy Act did pass, and there's no delayed enactment on that piece of legislation. Governor Northam did sign that, on the effective date that he needed to. So there's nothing standing in its way. It's a phased-in approach. 2045 is a ways away, and many people really feel that this is taking the right protective measures in having a clean ecosystem.
Yes, yes. I tell you, taking care of our environment touches on every aspect of our daily lives. And I had the opportunity of working with the League of Conservation Voters funding last year, year before last. But one of the things that they were very focused on was making sure that the community was a part of environmental decisions.
Right.
And I think this is just an example that the governor really has his ear to the ground and working with individuals such as yourselves to make sure that that's addressed. But when you talk about the environment, as I said, it affects every aspect. One of the pointed places where it affects is transportation.
Right.
And so, we live in Northern Virginia, and being a commuter is somewhat of a sport, an aggravating sport. And so transportation is an issue in Prince William County, from the eastern quarter to the western quarter to the northern quarter and the southern quarter. So talk to me about legislation as it relates to Northern Virginia, particularly our town, our home, Prince William County, and transportation.
Right. And so to just make it a little bit clear, what we're looking at is one, transportation is a huge aspect to not only Prince William County, but Northern Virginia, as well as also down in Hampton Roads.
Yes.
But at the same time, what we see is an increased conscience on, how can we provide modes of transportation, but also reducing our carbon footprint. And that's kind of what we've been hearing in the General Assembly. And to your point, Secretary Shannon Valentine, who's the Secretary of Transportation here in the Commonwealth, noted that before session that, as we see more electric cars, hitting the roadways, it reduces the amount of money that the state gets, in gas tax. So as people, are starting to drive more fuel efficient vehicles, the need for gas is a little bit less than what it was. And, I don't quote me on this, but I believe when Secretary Valentine was talking about it, we're going to continue to see this, and we're going to continue to see this trend of people saying, if I can get, 45, 50 miles, more by driving an electric vehicle than, driving, I don't know, I'm just saying maybe my Toyota Camry in the yard, and by switching to an all electric vehicle, or maybe, half electric, half gas, one, we're like you mentioned, reducing a carbon footprint, but also, making the ecosystem cleaner.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's so very important. Again, all of us taking ownership, and however that may be, with the electrical cars, or just by buying more economic, affordable cars, particularly in the environment that we live in, is so essential to the commuter, but also to the sustainability of our state.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate what you just said. One of my dear friends, I'm so proud of her, is currently the Speaker of the House, Delegate Eileen Filicorn. And she's done a fantastic job in her strength and her fearlessness, and making sure that she's brought the delegation together to make these most important decisions. So enlighten us about what it means to have the second session. I know you just came out of your session, April the 22nd. Describe to us how that felt, what it meant, the kind of dynamics and decision-making that were made, because I think that it was a very pointed time in our county and in our state.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think the whole entire East Coast, I would say, was looking at how Virginia would have this reconvene session, or what they call veto session.
Mm-hmm.
What it meant is that, as technology continues to grow and we make advancements in technology,
Mm-hmm.
We're making these advancements very quickly, and to be able to have an entire General Assembly session, with the House being on the Capitol grounds right next to the Capitol, and the Senate being over at a science museum, but at the same time collectively working together, to look at those governor's recommendations on budget items, as well as legislation that he might have made amendments to. I think it was a defining moment, maybe in Virginia, that even in light of a horrible virus, and where so many people are stuck at home, there's still the ability to get out there and act on state business, and to continue to move forward. And I think generally, the citizens want to see that. Yes, we are, staying at home more, but at the same time, we still have to carry on essential business of the state. And,
Absolutely.
we just had one of the largest budgets in Virginia history, in a 2-year budget. And, and we have to move these things forward. And, and some of these decisions are hard, but to be able to have that General Assembly session done electronically was really amazing. And I think it was really well done on both the Senate and the House's part. But just to mention, there's a tremendous staff, behind the scenes also, that works on this each and every day. And to Speaker Fillercorn, as well as the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, did a phenomenal job in trying to bring this together, and in trying to figure out how do we move these things forward. So I think it was really well done.
While practicing social distancing. How about that?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you might have even saw one of our own senators, Senator Barker. One of the greatest stories, I think, in light of that session was, the clerk of the Senate's husband built this, plexiglass barrier for Senator Barker, because, I don't know if anybody knows, but, he had recently, and I read in the newspaper that he had recently had some, maybe some health issues, but we saw that, they were taking precautions, and we've seen people, taking things seriously, and people wearing these masks inside of the Senate and the House, or even outside on the Capitol grounds. So we've got a tremendous delegation, and I think we're going to continue to move forward.
Well, let me. I see that my Chief of Staff, Will Smith, has what's happening on the phones, Will.
So we have a couple questions from Facebook, actually. We actually have one for David.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually a constituent from Triangle.
Okay.
Let me scroll up. This person asks, as a constituent of Triangle community, with the stay-at-home mandate, it causes parents and children to stay around one another more and more and more. How do you, or how have state legislators encouraged the people of their constituency?
So I would say to the constituent there is, our state legislature, and not only our legislature, but the members in the General Assembly, as well as the governor's administration. We see these 2 o'clock press briefings every single day, and we see individuals with tremendous amount of experience, whether it's been in the medical field or whatever their profession has been, in encouraging the social distancing, and to encourage that people stay at a distance, to ensure that a lot of times what we've seen in the news is some people may have the coronavirus and may not even experience any symptoms at the very beginning. So by doing this social distancing, and following the CDC guidelines and trying to find trying to follow the public health officials, recommendations. I think that's what we have to do at this time. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah,
yes,
I
it does.
think.
I'll go to Supervisor.
Well, what else? You got something else?
Oh, we actually have a couple more questions from some constituents of Potomac. So if I can pull this next one up. One actual question, Davis, one more question for you. It says, as a constituent of the Potomac District, how can we feel good about payroll protection? Has any state legislators mentioned that?
I think it's been a gradual conversation, both at the state and the federal level, as well as with our congressional delegation. In light of this, in dealing with payroll protection, we've seen a lot in more so in the federal legislation, and I would assume that that's what the constituent is asking, is what we've seen in these last three packages come from Washington, and continue to have these conversations in a fourth package. Just the last Thursday, on the federal level, the Senate signed another piece of legislation dealing with the PPP. In putting more money in the Paycheck Protection Program. So we're seeing these initiatives. We're seeing these initiatives come from both the federal and the state level. And certainly with the Prince William delegation, our delegates and our senators, this is at the top of their list each and every day that I would assume that when they wake up is, what are the constituents that are affected, the businesses that are affected, and how can we work to make proactive measures to help people. And that's what we've seen each and every day from the very beginning that the president, issued a national emergency on the coronavirus, as well as with Governor Ralph Northam. So, we keep on seeing these advancements in whether it's stimulus package or the stimulus package, the CARES Act. We're seeing a lot of money and a lot of funding come out to protect small businesses and to protect, your average citizen.
Yeah, I agree. We've been on the phones and on Zoom meetings nonstop just to make sure with the regional organizations like the NVRC and the
Right.
Council of Government, just making sure that we are all in concert regionally to take care of Virginia, Maryland, and DC,
Right.
as well as Virginia. So I think everyone's making a concerted effort just to support, but also to make sure that constituents understand exactly what's going on, just in survival, just in the basic levels of survival. So
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much, David, for all that you do for us. I want you to commit to me that you will come back and talk to us more. I think it's very important that we as supervisors in the county, we continue to partner with you to let you know what our constituents' concerns are, so that you can, as you are walking the hallowed halls of the General Assembly, you can talk to our delegations as a reminder of what's important. How do we protect our county, and just to let them know, foremost of all, that we appreciate everything that they do for us. I know that we're very blessed in that we have such a focus on our county. We've got the Appropriations Chair that lives in Prince William County.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that that wonderful budget that was passed, there was a lot of nights that people didn't sleep, especially the Appropriations Chair, to make sure that he was taking care of the state of Virginia.
Right.
And so we appreciate every and all hands and arms and legs that are so integrally involved and taking care of our state, but most of our county. So thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for being a household word in Prince William County.
Well,
and loving us so that you spend the majority of your time and your responsibilities at the General Assembly.
Yeah.
Any lasting comments that you would like to offer us?
I would just like to add that, you know, for the constituents out there, whether Potomac or in Prince William County, is that we have a very diverse delegation. And what I mean by diverse is we have a large delegation with people with different passions, different expertise, and all of that together formulates an awesome, you know, position that it puts Prince William County in when we're at the legislature. We have, you know, Delegate Rome that understands and has a passion for transportation. We have Delegate Jennifer Carroll Foy that has a passion, you know, that's brought the public defender's office or is bringing the public defender's office here in Prince William County. We've got Chairman Luke Torian, who's our Appropriations Chair. And for the viewers out there, Appropriations Chair is a very, very honorable position in the Virginia legislature. And it's a very big position. And we just, in all of our delegates, Delegate Guzman, Ayala, Senator Barker, Survell, McPike, Stewart, I mean, the list goes on. And they want to hear your concerns as much as our supervisors, like you, Supervisor Bailey, you know, y'all get so many inquiries in y'all's office. Our delegation's there to help. And at the end of the day, you know, what they want to make sure of is when they get home, you know, they want to increase the quality of life, not only in Prince William County, but in the Commonwealth. So that's what I would like to add. And it's certainly an honor to be able to serve the board as well as Prince William County in moving those legislative items forward. I think in going forward, we're going to have continued increased success in the county, not only at the state level, but also at the federal level, and in its relationship building. And it's an important aspect in you know, this position, as well as in, you know, the political world and legislative world. So just thank you so much for you and your staff and everybody for having me.
Well, thank you so much. We will continue to partner with you, David. You are a very integral part of our county and supportive part of our county. And that does not go unnoticed. With a new Prince William County Board, you have been so supportive and just keeping us updated and explaining what's going on in the General Assembly and coming to the board meetings and making sure that we are in lockstep with our delegation and with the state of Virginia. So thank you again. I want you to hang on. I want to give some updates if I can. In regards to COVID-19 and where we are in the county, and to let our viewers know that we are still very sound and we are still very healthy. We have had fatalities. Unfortunately, we're up to 18 fatalities now, and over 1,000 people that have been identified as attracting the coronavirus. But we are a very strong state. And so we continue to protect and serve at this level to protect our county. The Prince William County Area Disaster Fund, hats off to all of the constituents in our county, have donated over $10,000 to this organization to support our community. And this is the $10,000 has been since last week, and we only started last week. So that is really, really phenomenal. And so text IMPACT, capital IMPACT, to 36413 to make any donations. And these donations will be spread across the county just to support those who need the help. So please do that. I got to give you some tips. The tips are house with a garden, pound, stay home, save lives. House with a garden, pound, stay home, save lives. I think I did that right, Will. If I didn't, we'll correct it later. Make sure you're washing your hands with soap. That's very important in the preservation and elimination of this disease. Something as small as that. While you're doing that, sing happy birthday to me anytime you want. Shopping carts, try to go shopping just once a week if you can, to make sure that we are protecting our lives. And when you go, wear a cloth mask. So important that we protect ourselves and the germs that are flying around. So please do that. It's so important. Don't take the mask and the gloves for granted. Those are very important. And then anything
we have
else?
Our office.
I'm sorry?
We have our office updates, Supervisor.
Okay, we have our office updates. Thank you, Will. We're still working virtually from our office. It's very important. We've got to protect ourselves too so that we can serve you, Potomac. So, but you can reach us at 703-792-4645. And that's real important. Constituent concerns can be sent to our office at Potomac District at pwcgov.org. That's capital P, Potomac, capital D, District at pwcgov.org. Upcoming events, we will have our meeting, our board meeting tomorrow night on the 28th at 7:30. The Board of County Supervisors board meeting will be at 7:30. And the comments will close today at 6:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please don't forget that. We want to hear from you, Potomac, and the entire district if you're listening, but Potomac specifically, you were so gracious with your time last week and just offering your comments on our Zoom call, and we really appreciate that. Miscellaneous comments, here we go. Thank you all for the coronavirus helpers in our district, the first responders and our custodial staff, our medical staff, our doctors and our nurses and our firemen and our policemen and EMS. You guys are just wonderful. You're wonderful. You keep us safe, and we're grateful for all of you. And so we are in the wings to uplift you as you serve us. So just please take care of yourself while you're out there, but know that anything that you need, we are readily there to support you. Then, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget the census. If you're interested in winning a $50 gift certificate, and who wouldn't during COVID-19, please fill out your census forms. Those forms will allow us to bring even more, a better array of services to our county. So please don't forget to fill out your census form. And that's so very important. And you can get that information from the library system homepage. And that's at pwcgov.org/library, and click on Census Challenge. So just want you to know that. Our social media is up and running. Thank you to my chief of staff who keeps all of us on point in my office. And that's the Bailey Bugle. Make sure that you are reading the Bailey Bugle. And that's on our website. And the Bailey Bugle can be subscribed to at www.supervisorandreabailey.com. So if you want to know the latest and greatest of what's going on in Prince William County and specifically the Potomac District, make sure you subscribe to our Bailey Bugle. So, and then Twitter. Oh, I love our Twitter page. It's at Potomac District. Just put in at Potomac District and you'll get more information there. And then our Facebook page is Prince William County Potomac Magisterial District. And Will, is someone on the line you want to talk to us?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You actually have another question. So someone says, what do you plan to do for community partners in Prince William County?
What do I plan to do? Would you repeat? I didn't hear you.
What do you plan to do for community partners in Prince William County?
Well, let me just say, if you've been watching the board meetings, our community partners are the kings and queens of our county. And I say that not to reduce anyone, but just to say that they recognize that there's an extra level of support that's needed for the least of these in our community. And so we are so grateful for their level of support. I think it's so important that we give them what they need to support us. And that would mean that we provide funding, we provide volunteers to help support. And so that extra level of service within our county is given across the county. And so my desire is to continue to support the community partners by bringing them together and helping them to understand the greater need that's in the county. I've been working very diligently with a lot of them already, just to make sure that we're supporting people that need food. We've had donations from the community to the community partners to serve people that need additional food. We've been working with the Boys and Girls Club. We opened the Boys and Girls Club for our first responders, just to make sure that the first responders' children are safe. They're practicing social distancing, they're feeding the kids, there are no organized programs, but making sure that they have a safe place to be. And so we've had community partners to donate to the Boys and Girls Club, and the community to donate to the Boys and Girls Club to make sure that the facility is disinfected, it's kept disinfected, and the kids have a safe place. So I'm working with different organizations within our community to make sure that those types of provisions are made. I'm working with the churches as well to make sure that the churches are aware of what provisions are needed for the community partners. And so we have to bond together to make sure that Prince William County is truly a place where people want to come and live, regardless of who they are, where they've worked, but just because it's just a great place to live. And so that means partnering with the community partners, but also with constituents within our community. Another question, yes, Will.
Yes, I do have another question. Well, this one isn't really a question, it's more of a statement. One of your constituents in Dumfries, Supervisor Bailey, I want to thank you for your directive at the previous board meeting for the increase of community partner funding. It really means a lot to me and my family. You do not know how much it has helped me and my family in the past few years with community partners such as Boys and Girls Club and many more. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my honor to serve you and all citizens of Prince William County. Will, one more.
Yes, and this is literally the last one, actually. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. My phone went dark, Supervisor. Okay, this one says, Supervisor Bailey, I don't really have a question, but I want to say thank you for all that you have done in being in the public and helping with food donations and food giveaways. It really means a lot to me, and you have helped my family tremendously. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate you for calling in. Again, I just want to say I'm so grateful for my dear friend, David Westcott, who cares so much about our community, and he's just become my BFF. He doesn't know it because he keeps me informed about how I can serve at a higher level. And I am here in this seat to serve the constituents of Prince William County, and I'm glad to do so. So I want to thank him for how he serves as well. I want to acknowledge my colleagues and all that they're doing. It's budget season. We need you to understand that we are here to serve you during budget season to make sure that all are protected and everyone who has a need is served at a higher level. And so we're working very hard to keep things stable from a funding standpoint, just to make sure that Prince William County will continue on to be the place where people want to live, decide to live, and will reside for a very long time. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, for taking time out of your day to participate in this virtual town hall. We will be back to you in the next quarter to give you more updates. Please make sure that you go to my website for information. And once again, stay healthy, stay strong, stay together, because we're stronger together. Thank you.